This is Lucy Amazon, and I'm here to talk about the procedural safeguards. We must review those before every IEP meeting because it protects the parents and it's their rights on what their child with a disability have, and at the same time give families an opportunity with the school system to come up with any conflict resolution for their disputes on what is going on in the IEP. We also kind of go over a prior written notice, and that's just an explanation of a change of the school district or what has come of the child's individual education plan. It's also important that parents understand what the school plans to do with their child or not do for their child. And then from that prior written notice, we kind of explain everything that has happened throughout the meeting, and it's black and white on what is going on and what happened in the meeting and what was stated at the meeting. And we also want to make sure that we put if the proposed action was refused or if it was going to go into an effect. Then we kind of go into stay put rights. Every parent has the right to have a stay put provision, which is one of the most important legal rights of special education law. Stay put rights apply when you dispute a change that the school wants to make for your child in their IEP. When you invoke this right, your child's current placement can remain the same until you and the school resolve that dispute. And so, for example, if the school district was proposing a change of your student who's in special education to go into a specialized program or an out of district placement, you have the right to state if you would like to see that happen, or if you feel like the school where your child is at is where you want them to be. We also try to go over a summary of what the procedural safeguards are prior to the meeting. And that includes just the fact that you understand that your child has a right to a free and appropriate public education. We want you and your child, we want to have your student be in the least restrictive environment with their peer as much as possible. So we always have to remember that special education students are general education students first, and special education is a service that we are providing for them. You also, as a parent, have the right to be notified anytime that we have a meeting about your child, and if what is being discussed with that about your child, and you have the right to attend that as well. You as the parent also have the right to give consent for those services or decline those services. That is a right that the parent has at that time. The parent also has the right to review their child's records at any time that they ask for to evaluate what they need to per their child's education. And the parent also has the right to have an independent education evaluation done on their own. And this is a process where for dispute resolution rights, and it's a process that we can go through if we can't come to an agreement at the meeting that's held at that time, even though, schools always want to make sure that the parent and the child and the team are willing to work with each other because, again, the school is doing their best to want to work with them. And then we kind of go over if the parent wants a right of that booklet of their procedure safeguards, or if they would like a summary copy, and they have the right to deny a copy or accept. And that is something that we try to recommend that they go through just to make sure that they are on the same page as we are. Recommendations that, we have here in Iowa for parent resources that provide additional information about procedural safeguards is we have a local agency for area of education office, and through that office parents have the right to request additional information regarding their procedural safeguards, as well as our state's Board of Education. We try to provide those resources for them as much as possible so they understand what they're getting into when it comes to their child and their child's education plan. And then usually when we wrap up the procedural safeguards, we like to make the statement of asking if there's any questions about the procedure safeguards. So if we need to go into not just the summary that we go into, but the more detail of the booklet, we have that opportunity to discuss those, because a lot of times we try to do our best to make sure that it's in layman's terms so that it's a language where we can all understand. And most of the times, if the parent does have questions that we as a special education teacher cannot answer, the LEA at that meeting usually can step in and support and provide any additional information for that parent and their concerns.